Hey guys, and welcome to week 7 of Upfront Games. And we got quite a bit of news today, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video. A lot of the stuff that I've found this week wasn't as impactful as previous weeks, so we'll go ahead and just jump into it. Obviously, starting with PlayStation. Um, the biggest release for PlayStation this week, and it's across platforms. However, again, we're really big on this title coming out right now, Far Cry New Dawn. So check out the trailer, and we'll talk a little bit more about it here in just a minute.
We were just kids when the bombs dropped, and the world went to shit. They said it was supposed to be the end of everything. But for us, it was just the beginning. Surviving? Nah, we were better than that. This new world had a lot to give, and we took it all. That's how we came out on top. That's how we got here. That's how we found you. Listen here, rabbits. You need to understand something. The only currency left in this world is power. We're gonna take everything from you, starting with your home. And if we can't take it, we'll break it.
Led us into the new world. I thought that it would be glorious. I was wrong.
Okay, guys, so that was Far Cry New Dawn. I'm anticipating this coming out because we just finished playing through Far Cry 5, and this is kind of the follow-on how everything happens after the end of the world in Far Cry 5. So this will be really interesting to see how they continue the story, how Joseph plays into it. So I'm actually super excited that this is coming out. We'll have it first thing Thursday. So yeah, we'll get into that, and then I think at the end of this month we'll probably do a review on the game itself and how it's panning out. So let's dig a little bit deeper into PlayStation for this week. So January 2019 was an explosive start for the PlayStation Store. Top games on the PS4 were Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil 2, and believe it or not, Grand Theft Auto 5 was still in third place for sales on the PlayStation Store in the month of January. It's crazy because Grand Theft Auto 5 is getting to a point now where they should be moving into development on Grand Theft Auto 6, but as long as people keep paying for Grand Theft Auto 5 and its expansions and little arenas and online content, it's gonna keep going, and it's kind of kind of sad for the story, I guess, at least in my opinion, because you want to see where the next chapter is going to go. But as long as it keeps selling, there's really no justification for Rockstar to dig into Grand Theft Auto 6. So I have a feeling they're still looking at it, but we'll see because right now there's nothing concrete that they're going to go down that road prior to Grand Theft Auto 5 kind of fizzling out. So we'll see. The last piece of news for PlayStation this week is going to be there's a cinematic co-op cop shooter called RICO. It's releasing March 12th and it's going to be $19.99. It has a Borderlands type art style, some procedural levels, and ongoing case mode. So for 20 bucks, I mean, it sounds pretty interesting. As we get closer, we may release the trailer. Actually, probably the week it comes out, depending on what else is on schedule for that week. Or maybe we'll just throw in a bonus for that week in March and show you guys this trailer because it is actually pretty impressive. But it is a co-op online game that's concentrated on police officers going in and just taking everybody out and then moving on to the next case or the next building. So it should be pretty interesting, especially if you like sandbox uh, type games like that. So as as far as I know, that's how it's going to be. We'll see as we get closer if there's anything that changes or that they do some sort of story mode. But it looks like the only thing that's in there that's story driven might be the case mode. So again, we'll see more in the next month. So look forward to that. So we're gonna move on to Xbox. Xbox's biggest release this week is Crackdown 3. So let's get into this trailer. We'll discuss it here in just a
minute. Commander Jackson on deck. Welcome to Crackdown 3, the only game built like me. Big, beautiful, like a skyscraper, falling at your face. If you want to play on my level, follow my lead. Somebody give me my jam. It's all about getting the jump on the enemy. No building is too high. 60 stories up, incoming! You gotta build up that raw power. Grab more, grow more, nama. Bigger, Jackson! Then you need that firepower. Homing rocket gun, bullseye. Vortex cannon, see ya! Graviton tether. Have you two met? And the most powerful weapon of all, me. And then I roll out like a boss. I can push off fools, pull up the side of a building, or even bust out my very own tank. Oh yeah. Boom shakalaka! Man, these bad guys just won't quit. They got mad scientists, and madder master plans. Here we go! The hits just keep on coming. Boom! Whack, mother ducker! Crackdown 3!
Okay, so that was Crackdown 3, and I've heard some pretty negative things about the game itself. However, I mean, I haven't played it, I haven't put my hands on it, so I'm just gonna let you be the judge of everything if that's what you're gonna buy. But the trailer overall looks pretty good. So let's move into the Xbox news. There's a couple other things going on this week within Xbox, and again, some of these articles, if I find them on a Xbox news site, that's why they end up in this. So don't get discouraged or I guess rant in the comments about the fact that I'm pointing out something that may not be directly Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo, because in the end they may have some news that's posted that's a little more interesting on their sites than the other two, even though it applies to two of them or all three. So anyway, let's move forward. So ID at Xbox has put together an indie sports title sale that's including Rocket League, 3-on-3 Freestyle, and Grip, as well as 3 other titles. From what I saw, it's 20 to 60% off. So if you're into the indie sports titles at this point, this week may be a good time to grab them. So keep that in mind if you're looking for something. Now, this is kind of what I was alluding to. The next portion that I found within Xbox was actually pretty interesting, but it's got to do with pretty much all platforms, and that's that Activision Blizzard is announcing job cuts that could be in the hundreds, but that's following slowing sales from Call of Duty and Overwatch. I can't say that I'm surprised because Call of Duty has went downhill quite a bit. There's some issues that have been discussed among other YouTubers that I've seen personally in regards to basically Activision trying to charge for things that were free before. One of those things, actually, as a matter of fact, is the smiley face reticle that you can use with your assault rifles, and they're trying to charge you $1 or $2 for that reticle, when in Call of Duty Black Ops 3, I want to say it was, and even Modern Warfare, they were free. So Activision has been kind of irritating to me as of late because of the fact that I don't like all the microtransaction mess, and Activision does it a lot just to get extra money. And it seems like they're doing it just to reach and get more out of your pocket after the game's released. It's not that you can't play without it. However, like, what is the point beyond irritating people, especially those that know that, okay, well, this used to be free. Why am I paying for it now? Activision has done the same thing with other titles. I mean, if you look at like Rock Band and whatnot, so there was a lot of titles that they put out that are full of microtransactions. And I don't know, I can't even play an Activision game now. I really don't fly with that. I don't get on board with any of their games anymore. In my opinion, Call of Duty just kind of became the same game as long as it went on, and the introduction of zombies and all this other stuff, it just kind of got a little much for me. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. Back in the day, though, Modern Warfare 2, etc., those were great. I just feel like it's turned into a constant multiplayer only type environment, and I actually respect the story modes that people have, and of course Battlefield's caught a rap too because of their cut on the single player side. However, I can't do a Call of Duty anymore. Anyway, enough of my opinion and rant when it comes to Activision and Call of Duty titles. So let's move on to Nintendo. Nintendo's biggest release is the Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. So let's get into the trailer and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so that was The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. I'm not so sure what to think about this one. When it comes down to it, it just looks like you're leading a blind prince across a bunch of areas that are basically drawn together freehand. So I'm not so sure really how the gameplay is going to be or anything like that. Then from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be some sort of potential side scroller slash adventure type game. However, there's not a whole lot to be seen. It's more theatrical in reference to the trailer itself, or at least that's how I saw it. So, if this is a title that you're looking at, maybe you know more than I do. I'd actually welcome if you leave it in the comments so that I could just kind of get a better idea. Maybe that would, change my mind on it. However, that's the big release for Nintendo this week. There was one other one, but we chose to go with this one. All right, let's get into Nintendo's news. So Nintendo discussed a partnership with LINE Corporation and their future with LINE Corporation. So this month, Nintendo announced that Dr. Mario World for iOS and Android was going to be released. And they were talking about August, I believe, this year. Now, that's co-developed by LINE. So LINE is a social chat type application in Japan. So they're very well known, but it seems to point to something going beyond mobile at some point utilizing LINE's technology. I'm not so sure how LINE's technology and chat really plays into the game itself, as Dr. Mario World's a puzzler, but I guess we'll see because it looks like they're looking at a deeper partnership with LINE Corporation in the future. So stay tuned. We'll bring you more as we see that populate. So now the last part with Nintendo for this week is the 20 million unit Switch target. So they had a target to ship and sell 20 million units by the end of the fiscal year. And it looks like they changed that to 17 million. And the target failed due to insufficient efforts to convey its appeal. And this is what's coming from the president of Nintendo. So maybe they just, advertising, marketing, etc. in one way, shape, or form, they failed to do something properly, which affected their numbers, and they had to drop that target by 3 million, and that significantly impacted their year end, their stock numbers, etc. So 17 million, still not a bad number, but a significant drop when you talk about your initial number being 20. So there's some corrections that are going to take place within Nintendo to try and get this situation remedied going forward into the next fiscal year so they can project properly. So that being said, that's it. So we've dug into a little bit of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo as usual, and I'm always interested in seeing your comments and questions. Please leave them below. Hit that subscribe button, hit the share button, get this out and around, and we will see you next week, which is our week 8, and we're going into, at that point, the 17th of February, where we'll have obviously the newest release for the week, as we do every week, along with the trailers, and then we'll have our biggest news from each different manufacturer for the week. If there's anything you think we could add to make this a little bit better, or maybe some feature or something you'd like us to discuss, by all means, leave it in the comments and we'll go ahead and do so. That being said, y'all have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.